What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin, and you're watching the Friday Weekly Market Watch. Today is June 14th. I am joined by my co-host for the Friday Market Watches. We have Zach Stone. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing very good this morning, Kevin. It's a very, very exciting day for me. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm getting forward to having a nice dinner and celebrating with some Lorcana Goons.
That's right, man. Happy early birthday. I'm sure all the Goons can leave a comment. Happy birthday, Zach Stone. And leave a like and subscribe if you are a Lorcana Goon yourself, because it does support the channel. And I do want to start off today's Market Watch with some interesting news. We have a Beckett 10 Pristine Golden Mickey. This is the Mickey that you get for getting top 4/top 8 at the Lorcana Challenge events. This is a serialized Mickey, so this is number 234/out of 500. So looking at this serial number, it looks like 2345. That's kind of cool. It's on auction. It's on auction today. Matthew Wright is the winner of this card. He put it on auction. The auction is going to end in 29 days, so in about a month. And the current bid is at already $12,000. So obviously, it's not as high as that $50,000 price mark that a lot of people were kind of talking about when the first, when this card first was won in that first DLC in Atlanta and at the one in Lyle. But it's already at a 5-figure, price mark, and and there's still 30 days left. There's only 3 bids that have happened so far. Obviously, I think it's gonna keep going up. Zach, how do you feel about this?
Wow. I mean, it's a little low, right? But there's something to consider. The auction is about 30 days away from ending, so there's plenty of time for this, it to increase in bids for sure. I've also noticed that this is the 4th Mickey that I've seen slabbed or graded. If correct me if I'm wrong, but so I'm assuming that is the goal is to find the most pristine one, and a lot of collectors I know that are really chasing the top of the top, want that black label pristine. If you guys didn't know, Beckett Grading Services has 4 subgrades for the classifications: the corners, the surface, it's the centering and the edges, and all those can be met with a 10. And if it ever does happen, we will have what is called a pristine black label, where the whole top of the sticker on top is black, and it will say a pristine black label. So I know there's a lot of collectors out there that are waiting for one to get graded in a black label. Kevin, did you know about the black label Beckett's?
Yeah. So I have seen that before. It's a very rare situation that obviously that happens in card games. I've only seen a couple in card games in general, and I think I've only ever seen one Lorcana black label card, and I believe it's a D23 Captain Hook. It's but other than that, I don't think I've ever seen another black label Lorcana card. Maybe there are some out there that aren't necessarily rare or non-foil, but imagine the pristine Mickey's already pretty up there in my opinion. But yeah, a black label Mickey would be crazy. And I like that you brought up that this is like the 3rd or 4th one that we've seen slab, because we saw that CGC one get listed. We've seen PSA posts that they have on that they graded one, and then we've seen this one. I think there's another player, Albert Garcia. He might be the one that had the PSA one, but I think there's another Beckett one running around. And I do want to mention that most of them, if not all of them, have been graded at 10. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because Lorcana cards have notoriously bad production quality, but Ryan Miller had told players at the Lorcana Challenge that they picked the best Mickeys from the batch of 500 to be given out as prizes. So I get the feeling we might, we very well might see a black label gold Mickey in the future with that information. I'm pretty sure we're going to see multiple PSA 10 Mickeys, graded 10 Mickeys in general, because of that information. In general, I imagine the quality on this card is a little nicer than some of the quality on some of the other cards. My Rapunzel has a little nick at the back, and there's things like that about the prize cards. My Rockstar Stitch from Set Champs came kind of lightly played, I like to say. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to see the future of this card game, especially with this auction as well. I do want to go over some other cards before we move on to our meta discussions today, Zach. I want to talk about the Elsa Enchanted. I didn't talk about Enchanted last week. Kind of slipped my mind. I feel like I was super hyped from the Chicago news and everything this past Monday. So real quick, I just want to go over the fact that the Enchanted market is super low today. It's definitely a buyer's market for Enchanted. If you are looking for Enchanted today, this week, this month, might be a great time to start picking some out from the batches. Look at this. We have a near mint foil Elsa. It's a German one though for 900. After that though, we have multiple Elsas being listed for $1,000 on the dot. Maybe you can find them in person to try and get them for just a little cheaper than $1,000. There are some sales that have happened for less than $1,000 as well. $950 yesterday for an Enchanted Elsa. On there's a light plate Elsa that's sold for $950 as well. A lot of them have been just coming down. It's not the only one. The Stitch Carefree Surfer from the first chapter also is hitting around $300, which is not too bad, but definitely been coming down from where it was at, closer to $400. Zach, what's happening to the Enchanted? Do you think it's because we're getting all these cool prize cards now? There's a little bit less of an interest on some of these Enchanted rares?
I don't know if that's the case. Like, I don't feel like that's the case. I couldn't really tell you, just because I'm not too sure if there is not even necessarily like a more demanded Enchanted card. You have to keep in mind that like these are very expensive items, and not a lot of times people are able to buy and hold these things. You know, there could be certain situations that come up, and people do have to let go of them. And as you've seen before, when more and more people start to sell their card, we do start to see prices tend to drop, because everyone's looking to beat everyone else's price to make the sale. This could be the case right now with Enchanted. There could be a lot of collectors out there that are finding themselves with a lot of Enchanteds, and they're slowly starting to part ways with them. Keep in mind, they're not actually the ones always selling on TCG Player. They could simply be selling them to the people that are. And that's why we see them being listed, and that's why we see the amount of listings that we do. The Jafar Striking Illusionist is at $135 right now for its Enchanted art, and that's been a very solid price. We definitely seen this card go up a lot more. Kevin and I also do, we talk about how Jafar is one of these cards that can just kind of come out of nowhere and do well at events when people aren't respecting it. So yeah, Kevin, do you have any thoughts about what some of these like what Enchanteds actually would you be wanting to pick up now at these low prices?
Yeah, so actually, these are the ones that I was looking at. Jafar was one of them. Definitely a less than 150 is a nice price to me. I had to get rid of mine when I did get rid of it, but now that it's super cheap, I kind of want to pick it up again. And then Zach and I have been hosting Enchanted tournaments, so I feel like it's always nice to pick some up to have those as prizing. The Snow White here, the Well-Wisher Snow White, also coming down in price. I like this one a lot because it is a princess. It's not in that $200 range like it was sitting at for a very long time. It's less than $200 today. Prophecy Gaming Co. $175. I don't know if I would get it immediately, but if it drops lower than this, I would consider you getting a few, because I like the princess Enchanteds. And then Aerial Sonic Warrior, this is like one of the more newer Enchanteds. It kind of is coming down like steadily in price, but this is from Ursula's Return. It is a princess, so I think this might be the most expensive Enchanted rare from that set. Less than $300, $282 by Trading Card Buyer today. But yeah, these are some of the Enchanteds I would probably get. Also Pride Lands. I think Pride Lands is a decent one, especially because you can actually play Pride Lands in a meta deck. So the $70 is not bad. I feel like coming from certain card games, there's there's like cards you need in certain card games, like meta staples that can be $70, $60, even $100, and I'm used to buying like 3 or 4 of them for that deck. So if I ever were to play like a Pride Lands deck, it would be cool to have like 2 Enchanted Pride Lands or 4 Enchanted Pride Lands. That Zach Bivens deck, that Amber Steel list, I played 2 Pride Lands, I believe. So that'd be kind of cool. So I do like the fact that some of these Enchanteds are so cheap, because it does kind of make it so you can play with them.
This RLS Legacy Enchanted Rare is only $55 right now, and man, I definitely see myself wanting to pick up a couple copies. It's one of those Enchanted Rares that has a low enough price where we can actually have our Enchanted pricing. But on top of that, I do feel like locations with 2 lore can really be undervalued right now. A lot of decks don't have answers to locations, and going into more of a meta conversation, there is a lot of cards that I feel that you can get rid of that are evasive. So keep that in mind, that this location gives your characters evasive while they're here. And that is a good tool to use to answer cards like Pegasus and Diablo. So, this is definitely an Enchanted rare that I feel like people should be looking to pick up right now. How do you feel about that, Kevin?
No, yeah, I agree. Well, number one, you know me, man. I was playing RLS Legacy at the beginning of this format in my Ruby Sapphire deck. Just try it out. I feel like I do feel like locations are very good this format. There's a reason why a lot of people are shoving 4 Queen's Castle in their Amethyst decks. If not 4, maybe 3, but it feels like 4. And I do think that locations are a little slept on in like the Ruby Sapphire matchup. I really like having McDuck Manor in my deck for the mirror match, because that mirror match is, that deck is extremely reactive, Ruby Sapphire. So like when you're playing against locations, if you don't have Maui, then you're kind of forced to start dropping cards from your hand, like Madame Medusa, or like cards that you normally wouldn't want to play unless your opponent had like cards on the board already, just to out the locations. Because yeah, man, they get a little tricky. It gets a little tricky with the locations, in my opinion. So I do like seeing these so cheap right now. Like, you know, because if I want to play them in my deck, then I can either, you know, play the dollar copy, a rare, if I want RLS Legacy, or I can, you know, make my deck look kind of cool and play 2 to 3 copies of Legacy. And it's an uninkable, so you probably won't play 4 of them. You know, so I think it's a decent price right now to look into. But now that we're on the topic of meta cards, Zach Stone, Beast Tragic Hero today is going to be almost $60, man. I mean, it kind of is bumping off that $60 range, but yeah, the Bamboo Lounge is going to have you for lowest verified today, 56.21. And if you want a cold foil, there's only 18 listings left, and they are shooting up in price this week. Bro, what is this? Broadside Games LLC has you for $80 now, no longer in that $70 range, $80. And check this out, Eli's Gaming Galaxy, they have 3 copies, Zach Stone. So they're also $80.14, but you can get 3 of them from one buyer. You want to talk about that a little bit, or what's some advice that we like to give to the viewers on the channel?
You know, there is some settings and filters you guys can set for yourselves if in case you're looking to, you know, pick up play sets of cards. You can even filter out the sellers that have play sets or more in their inventory. And as you can see right here, RR Precon, if you just want to get 4 all from one seller, especially one with over 25,000 sales and a 99.9% feedback rating, that is something to always keep in mind, guys. You can order them from different sellers, and they can all come in at different times. And if you're looking to play with these cards sooner than later, consider that for sure. Definitely consider the other option too, if you definitely don't mind these cards coming in a little later. Again, something expensive like a cold foil beast will be tracked, but something as cheap as like any $1 or $2 cards, they more than likely won't be tracked. And so getting them all from one seller can at least give me more confidence knowing I could get them, especially with somebody with a lot of positive feedback. I know I strive to have 100% positive feedback on my seller account, so it's a good thing to do for sure if you're buying and selling cards and you're in this business. From at least advice from me.
Yeah, man, and I also want to mention you save shipping fees. You know, you only have to pay shipping one time if you're getting it from one seller. You do it each time. You pay 4 different people for 4 different shipping. You know, and then whatnot. So it's just better overall. So use those filters to your advantage, my goons, and you know, try and rack up some deals. And I do want to mention the flavor text on this card because Zach pointed it out to me today. I didn't realize that Beast is sad because he's gonna remain a beast forever, bro. It says it must be my destiny to remain a beast forever. Now I'm actually unironically sad for this sad beast. I wonder what the lore is there. I wonder what happened to Bell where, you know, he didn't turn into a human. Anyways, Diablo Devoted Herald, lowest verified today is going to be 48.67 NP games. It's a little relieving to see Diablo not at $60. Zach, in my opinion, I'll be frank. I genuinely like this card. I think it's a very powerful card, but I do feel like it is driving the format in a type of direction that is making it a little, I wouldn't say unfun, but just a little bit predictable. Like, you have to respect this card so much. You're just shoving cards in your deck, constantly asking, do I have an out to Diablo? You know, the cards like this, cards like Tamatoa, they do that to the meta. So it's no surprise why this card's still like almost 50. I would say $50. And I do think that depending on where you're at, you probably might have to pay even more. Cold foils are going to be $65. We have $64 and $1.25 shipping by upper set. Lowest verified for your Diablos. Emerald's good. You can kind of play Emerald with any color combination and just shove 4 Diablo in your deck, and I would honestly argue the deck's probably playable. Maleficent Monster Dragon, lowest verified today is going to be $32.38. Not bad. The cold foils are going to be $70. So remember, guys, these were like $100 cold foils at one point, and I feel like even more people are playing Ruby Sapphire nowadays. What do you think, Zach?
I think Ruby Sapphire again is up there in the top three decks for sure. This Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, I have seen lists not play this, and I've seen lists play four still. Again, this is a card that will come in and out of formats depending on how things go. In a heavy control meta, this card is going to be a staple in every Ruby deck, and I promise you that. We might see a heavy control meta. We might see a lot of early answers to aggro from those decks, and it could shape the format into being like, do you build for the mirror match, do you build for the aggro deck, do you build just to be well rounded against everything. This is more of a deck building game for sure. The technical play kind of usually plays itself out when you see, compare hands. However, there is a lot of different ways to navigate this game, and this is a very, very strong card. So keep in mind too, this is also one of those collectible cards. A lot of people like to collect their foil version since they can't attain the D23 promo of it.
Oh yeah, that's true. This card does come in a D23 promo, so no wonder why it's so popular as well as a foil. And yeah, like you just said, a lot of people want to make master sets. People collect sets of the first chapter. This is a first chapter card, so it is a little harder to come by, I think, in near mint. So I definitely take advantage of that if you can find one in near mint for these prices today. Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. These kind of coming down just a little bit in price because they were a little bit more than $40 last Monday when we saw them. And I was highly recommending people buy the cold foils because the cold foils were a very similar price to the non-foils, right? Lowest verified today is by Upper Set for $39.15 with $1.22 shipping. But after that, Lay Valley Cards has you for $42.90. So I would still say it's about a $40 legendary today, which is kind of nice to see if you're someone who wants to sell them. But if you're barely starting to build your deck this format and you want to play something like Emerald Steel, you're going to have to fork over a lot of money. Cold foils for Robin Hoods are going to be $50 today, lowest verified by Corbin Cards and Games. So the cold foils have still been steadily going up. On Monday, when I mentioned to get the cold foils instead, they were around $45, $46, and it's only been a couple days and they're already at $50. So I can only imagine what's going to happen as we get closer to the Fort Worth Challenge in the end of July, middle of July. Well, actually, we have set championships starting the first week of July. So if you guys want to play in those set championships, you don't have your cards yet, you should probably order your cards now, right?
Yeah, it does take some time. Again, the ones that are tracked, and I assume most orders that are above like $30 will be tracked. Keep in mind that TCG Player does not require a seller to track the order until it is more than $50 or over. So if that's something that you're looking to have more of like comfortability while ordering, getting a tracking number, definitely consider finding a seller you can order most of your cards from, and if you get your total up to that price point, your order will be tracked, guaranteed. So the Sisu Empowered Sibling is sitting around like $20, and even if you just needed 3 copies right there, will get you a tracked order. So it's good to always keep in mind about how much you need to spend, and don't worry, because Limitless Games got 3 copies right there. You can add them into the bag. So it's definitely a good price. I've seen this Sisu be up to like $36. Definitely starting off around like 16, 17 more in the first weekend of Ursula's return. And the cold foils are just right at $28 with shipping included. You can buy one for $25, and it is still a verified seller. Keep in mind, guys, it's just your choice. Is if you feel more comfortable going with a seller with more sales, or if you just want the best price possible, make the choice that's right for you. Kevin, if you had to pick between the top 2 right there, who would you buy from?
I would pick from Florida Coast all day, every day. I mean, 300 sales, I understand, is not as much as 50,000 plus sales. But I do have confidence that this person has completed those 300 sales with a quality assurance. They have a nice rating right there. And for the most part, when it comes to customer service, bro, I'm not picky. I've worked behind the cash register and behind making people's food and whatnot plenty of times, and I am not picky with the way customer service is handled. I feel like it's a really, really hard to mess up my TCG Player order. And don't get me wrong, people have messed up my TCG Player order and sent me cards in a way where I'm just disappointed. But I feel like at this point, if you have more than 100 sales and it just looks like a consistent account, then yeah, I would trust this one. Obviously, it depends on the caliber of the card. If I'm gonna order like an Enchanted rare, maybe I do want somebody who has a little bit more. But if the price difference is that much to the point where I'm saving like a good chunk of change, maybe more than like 10%, then yeah, I probably would go with the cheaper one anyways. I'm kind of a frugal person. I like saving money. I like discounts. So this little $3 discount is already enticing enough for me from Florida Coastal Limitless games. And then, or even this, like maybe I need multiples, and I want to go through Mr. Jets here, who is not a verified seller. He has 120. They have 128 sales, right? But I can get 4 of them. So realistically, if I need a playset, I'll probably save more money buying from Mr. Jets than getting 1 from Florida, 1 from Limitless Games, and then going through 1 from Lost Planet. You know what I mean? Going to each verified seller. So that's probably what I would do. I would take the risk, And on top of that, these non-verified sellers need love too. That's how they get verified. They need more sales. So obviously, we're helping out the people get more sales by doing that too. So to me, it's kind of like a double whammy. It's like, it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We're hooking up the new sellers, and we're also getting a deal for ourselves. But like I just said, I have had people send me like cards in ways where when I'm trying to get the card out of the top loader or something, it's just inconvenient to the point where I'm like, oh man, I don't want to damage the card because of the way you sent me this, buddy. Like I remember I oiled like cold foil perditas at one point. I had like 3 of them, and they were all in one top loader, but the top loader was taped so much, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna mess up my cards getting this top loader out. And I didn't leave like a negative review, but I did send them a message, and I was like, hey, can you please use less tape like for anyone's future orders, because like I was like about to break the top loader trying to get this freaking duct tape scotch tape off. But I would take the risk though. Long story short, I would take the risk. Anyways, Ursula, Deceiver of all from Into the Inklands, being played in the winning deck list for the Disney Lorcana Chicago Challenge, has still been coming down in price, surprisingly. You can find these for as low as $30 with $1 shipping, around $31 by Nerd Zone Linton, and the cold foils still as low as $39.99 SAR of cards. So they're pretty cheap, less than $40 if you want the cold foil, and almost $30 if you want the non-foil. And then we're still waiting to see if they're going to reprint these, so we get this Dreamborn Storyborn situation fixed, right? Lucky Dime been going up in price since we last looked at it. Actually, take that back. It wasn't really going to kind of calmed down in price because they were selling for around $15 for the non-verified, and yeah, lowest verified is going to be $14.25 Hawaii Card Capital. But like we just finished saying, multiple sellers have it for a little bit cheaper if you want to go through a non-verified seller. Lucky Dime being very powerful this format, right, Zach?
Yeah, the card definitely, I feel like, can shift the meta itself too. We saw last set that everyone, or Sapphire players, were having to play Judy Hobbs in their list. And even now with the characters like the new Shift Aladdin, a lot of answers to items, and I feel like you're going to have to respect Lucky Dime. It is a card that just allows you to gain lore. And speaking of gaining lore, we can always request with the guest. If you guys haven't been following with our new segments, guys, we do talk about some of the cards that will impact future sets, and this is something that I feel like Lucky Dime can always impact future sets. You can get your cold foils right now for just about $15-$16, and I mean that's about the same price as the normal versions,
right?
So I always feel like there's one goes up or one goes down, and the foils can only go up. So if you've been looking to foil out your Lucky Dimes for a while, guys, get them.
It just makes sense. Like, why would you pay $14.25 for a non-foil when you can pay $14.99 from these non-verified sellers for the cold foil? So that's the exact same price, right? You're just going to, or if you want to go through the same verified seller, you're only paying $3 more. I don't know. We said this on Monday too. Like I think the cold foil Lucky Dime is just the way to go. The non-foils are a little too high. Or maybe the cold foils are a little too low. Either way, I'd rather get the cold foils. Bell, strange but special, is another interesting card. I feel like it's been seeing not as much play this format. I've been seeing less people play this in Ruby Sapphire for sure, and in Sapphire Steel you're kind of playing the Aerial as well. So maybe you don't have to max out on Bell. Maybe you don't go through with the Bell maxing anymore this format. But Lorcana Golden Lady has you for $24.50. They got 2 of them right there if you need that, and the cold foils are gonna be $50 still. Far Galaxy Games, $51.94 for your Bell, strange but special. It is a princess. I do think this is a collectible cold foil in this game. Do want to talk about Jim Hawkins this market watch today, because Jim Hawkins is super duper cheap. Noah's verified, hurts my soul. Haven Tabletop 581 with $1.25 shipping. Wow, Jim Hawkins is like a $7 legendary. The cold foils are $12, $11.90 by the Otaku Hangout. These are super cheap. Zach, I know you wanted me to bring up Jim Hawkins. What do you got to say about Jimbo over here?
You know, there is a little not issue, but I've noticed more people have been having conversations about locations. And I guess a lot of decks that are being played right now can't take care of a location right away. Even so, Maui is a card you can play on turn 5 that can only deal 6 damage to a location. So that doesn't kill locations like the Queen's Castle, McDuck Manor, and RLS Legacy, even Pride Lands too. So this is just a card that lets you play a location for free and move him there for free. It says free twice. I don't think that this card will ever be, terrible to think about. I also think it's a very safe card. This card probably will never be touched on a ban list ever. Even though it does say free twice, unless they make some locations, but then again, those locations will be the problems, not Jim Hawkins. You can just buy cold foils too for slightly more than double the price of a normal. So it seems pretty healthy. We definitely want to explore this one, right? Because this card is just a very, very powerful card. And it does require 2 cards itself in another location to have synergy. But it's inkable, and that's always a good plus side. Plus, it's a 4/4.
Yeah, Inkable 4/4, Quest for 2. Like, the stats on it aren't bad. Like, already the stats on it aren't bad. It has 2 abilities. Like, I know this card is good. I'm definitely gonna pick up my playsets for the foils right now that they're as much as non-foil whole new worlds basically. So non-foil whole new worlds kind of going back up in price a little bit. I think a lot of people weren't playing this in their Sapphire Steel, or maybe there was this kind of sentiment that you don't need to play it anymore, or even this kind of idea that Amber Steel whole new world deck was dead, right? But that's just not true. It's not the case. We've seen plenty of successors with Amber Steel and whole new world players this format already. Lowest verified. The Bamboo Lounge is gonna have you today for $10.94, shipping included, so around $11. And the cold foils are $16.34. They used to be more than $20, guys. Lunar Exchange has you for $16.34 for the cold foil. Whole New Worlds. Tamatoa, kind of still really expensive. Hasn't stabilized. Hasn't really come down since the last market watch that we saw on Monday when it was at $8. If anything, it's been going up even more. Limitless Games has you for $10.28 today. So Tamatoa is now a $10 super rare for the non-foil. That is crazy. If you're vending, then you're living lavish this weekend, because gosh darn, look at this. Tamatoa, $32.76 for the lowest verified cold foil. Wow, Zach, what is going on with this dude?
The card is good.
The card is good.
The card is good. It's not a question whether this card is a good card or not.
Yeah.
Another thing to point out too is that it is from the first chapter, and a lot of cards in the first chapter are more of the collectible set. A lot of people I talk to that are in the collecting side, they think of the first chapter as like the base set of Pokemon, Legend of Blue Eyes from Yu-Gi-Oh, and so on and so forth. So the cold foils being expensive, it is a card played in the meta. It is a card to consider in a collection, and it is a card from the first chapter. It is hitting a lot of positive notes on that sense, and I've seen this card. I mean, for normals, I've seen this card as low as like $2, even a little less. So those that have picked up a lot of crabs are eating pretty good.
Yeah, man, that's why I like Lorcana. Like, it's such an early, like, the game is in its infancy. We have so many cards. Like, when Tamatoa first came out in the first chapter, it was buns. Like, we didn't have like many good cards to go with it. When Rise of the Floodborn came out, it was like people started realizing, oh, Tamatoa is playable now. But like, it just still wasn't anywhere in the meta. And then Inkland's format, out of nowhere, like Sapphire just became such a powerful deck. And then nowadays, though, obviously this price is a little bit inflated in my opinion. I think it will come down potentially in the future, but still, like, now it's cool to see that that Tamatoa is starting to see the appreciation it deserves. But it took a couple of formats for us to get the cards in rotation, to make Sapphire such a powerful contender in the meta. And then on top of that, it's from Moana. It's an amazing movie. It's from the first chapter, so as like a as like a Disney fan as well, this is a card that I definitely would like to collect too. So yeah, man, it's crazy to see. It's really interesting to see. Tamatoa is another card that I definitely have to respect in the meta when I'm deck building. Whenever I'm making or like considering deck choices, I often ask myself, do I have an out to Tamatoa in my deck? Because on like turn 5, when Sapphire already has 8 or 9 ink, once they start dropping this on you, bro, like, oh my gosh, like it becomes a race. It really does become a race once they start dropping the Tamatoas on there, because if they hit you with the Lucky Dime Tamatoa combo, it's over. Like, you better be close to the finish line, or they're just gonna jump from the 1 to 10 lore, and then from 10 to 20 in like 3 turns. It's actually insane. So I have friends who say Tamatoa should be banned, which I don't necessarily agree with. Some other cool super rares that I want to go over: Flynn Rider, Frenemy, still a very expensive super compared to, you know, Lorcana. In the Ursa's Return set, these are more than $5. Lowest verified, the Ooze Nation has you for $4.73 with $1.22 shipping, almost $6 for those. And the cold foils are going to be almost $10. NP Games has you for $9.51 for your cold foil Flynn Rider Frenemies. Madame Medusa, same thing, a super rare from the, which this was in Rise of the Floodborn, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So this is gonna be $4.90.
No, this Into the Inklands.
No, Medusa. Oh yeah, Medusa was Inklands. Medusa was Inklands. I'm confusing the ladies. Medusa, $4.94. Lowest verified with $1.22 shipping. Villain Gaming, they have 6 of them for you. There's a lot of people that have multiple Medusas ready for you, so you can save some money on the shipping there by going through one seller. The cold foils have for sure come down in price, which is good to see. No longer in that $20 range, but still kind of close to that. Upper set has you for $16.55 with $1.25 shipping. These were selling for more than $20 for the cold foils on one day, so it is nice to see that they have been kind of coming down in price. Here are some rares that I want to go over just to remind you guys that I told you so. I told you so. The fishbone quills are now $10. I had been saying to get your fishbone quills. I love when I get in this kind of tone, because I'm like wagging my finger at people who didn't buy them. You know, I know I bought them though. The fishbone quills, they were like super cheap in the beginning of this format. Zach, do you remember? They were literally like $4, $3, like $3-4 for fishbone quills, because people were kind of like, oh, we're leaving England's format and we're entering Ursula's Return format. I don't know what to play, and you just see everyone offload their cards. And I don't know, man. Fishbone quill, it's just a staple in Sapphire. I'm never getting rid of my fishbone quills ever. If I ever want to play a Sapphire deck, you just need this card. That's why lowest verified is going to be $9.88, almost $10, and the cold foils are going to be $20. Lowest verified Pokenola $19.61 with $5 shipping. Sorry, scratch that. $25 for your cold foil fishbone quills. After that, the next person has you for $27.49, then $28.95, very close to $30. There's not that many listings for this card. It's from the first chapter as well. So, you know, when you have first chapter stuff, cold foils, I think they're very good collectibles. Personally, cold foils in general, I prefer them, and the first chapter ones especially. The Queen's Castle, very important this format, very strong in the meta. No wonder it's a $7 non-foil today. Atlantis Cards has you for $6.69 shipping included. They have 10 of them, so if you want to buy 10 for you and your homies, you can save some money there. Then we have Let's Play Concord, $8.90 cold foil castle. Let's be real, guys. Just buy the cold foils. You're paying what, $2 more? Yeah. Lowest verified, what is that? $6.69, and the cold foils $8.90. You're paying $2 more for the cold foils. Zach, what do we say?
You know, one goes up and one goes down, and the foils can only go up. So it's a card that I will, you know, I'll admit I have been buying cheap cold foils when I've seen them. You know, this card is a very, very strong card, as I've mentioned before. It's a location that gives you 2 lore. It's also at 7 willpower. And I just think that a lot of Amethyst decks are just starting to play 4 copies at very, you know, and that's at the minimum, and that's the most you can play. So it's a very, very strong card. A lot of people argue that if they're not drawing cards, the card doesn't do anything, and I generally disagree with just that statement alone. I understand what they mean, that the card is not, you know, it's only gaining lore, but this game and the way Ruby Amethyst and Emerald Amethysts have built the decks, you know, it's a race to 20, and a lot of Amethysts go to still a powerful card to gain lore without questing. Frenemy is now, you know, in every Ruby Amethyst deck, and if that character gains you know, 6 or more lore, it's already kind of like closed the you know, almost one third of the gap away from winning the game. So I really think that Queen's Castle needs to be very, very much respected, and you have to really consider how you're answering this card on 4 if they play it.
Yeah, very powerful card indeed. I mean, gaining 2 lore return is just nice. I don't gotta draw from that card if I'm already like ahead of the game and you can't out it. The host verified today for Be Prepared is gonna be 838 by Limitless Games, almost $10 again. Slowly going back up in price, and the cold foils are going to be $16 for the lowest near mint by Mythic Games Colorado for your Be Prepared. Strength of a Raging Goon. These are still pretty expensive. The non-foil verifieds are gonna be 630 with shipping included by Lorcana Golden Lady. Even if you want to go through a non-verified seller, you're still paying around $6, $5 with $1 shipping. And the cold foils, there's only 13 listings left, so these cold foils are probably going to start getting expensive if these start, getting sold out. Lowest verified is 1320. Trading card buyer. After that, though, the next near mint is going to be almost $15 by Untapped Games with a Z, $11.99 with $3.15 shipping for a cold foil Strength of a Raging Fire. Madam Mim Fox, very powerful this format still, $5 each. And, so if you have these, make sure you're valuing them correctly. $4 with $1.22 shipping by FCG Singles. Cold foils are still around $13 to $15. Sherry Loves Eevee, gonna be $12.50 with $1 shipping for the lowest verified cold foil on your Mim Foxes. Maui's have been going up in price, more than $10 again. I was looking at these, talking about these every single market watch we could. Lowest verified for the non-foil is now $12.43, almost $13 for your non-foil Maui's, and the cold foils are going to be $15.64 with $1.22 shipping. Lowest verified by Delia Ketchum. So not a bad price difference in my opinion as well. If you're paying $12, $13 for a non-foil Maui, you might as well pay $15 to $16 for the cold foils. I paid like $15, $16 for my cold foil Maui's, and now I feel like I'm rich. Hiram Flavorsham, lowest verified is going to be $178 with $1.22 shipping by the Bamboo Lounge. So this is about a $3 rare now. It's almost a $5 rare, and this comes in the starter decks, by the way, guys. So it's climbing up because of the popularity in Sapphire. Graves Gifts has the cold foils at $17.83 today, with shipping included. So it's about a $20 cold foil for this rare. And man, I mean, yeah, that's wild. Love to see it though. Love to see Hiram getting the flowers it deserves. Sisu Emboldened Warrior, going to be about a $5 rare in the Ursula's Return set. NP Games, lowest verified, 404 with $1.22 shipping. And they have 10 of them for you, so you can just get them all from that one person. Shazes has you for $9.95 with shipping included, and they only have one of them though. Lowest verified for the cold foil, about $10 for the Sisu Emboldened Warrior. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Alina Long came Zeus. We have upper set. We have $2.72 with $1.25 shipping for the lowest verified non-foil, so about a $4 rare now. And the cold foils, $7.75 Iron City Games. Love to see it. This helps you out the Queen's Castle, by the way. So we did see this in the we saw one copy of this in the winning deck list for the Chicago DLC. And speaking of the DLCs, here's some of the prize card updates for some of the cards you can win at the DLC. Zach and I are going to be at Fort Worth trying to win the golden Mickey that you saw in the beginning of the video. And if you end up in the top cut, you end up with some of these wonderful prizes that sell for as high and low as $875 right here for the Let It Go. This was the top 64 promo or top 128 promo. Zach, what these prize cards are coming down? Do you think they're going to keep coming down even post Fort Worth?
I do think that there's going to be a point where they hit their bottom, right? I do see that there's some that are selling for as low as 900, even less than that too, and as high as 1100. And keep in mind that they were selling or being asked around 14 to 1500 at Atlanta. I'm not too sure of how much any of them sold at Chicago. There's just going to be more printed, and we do know this for a fact. And the idea is that if once they stop printing this as part of the prizes, there's just going to be whatever is available. Although there is no guarantee, like we don't know that for a fact. I've always felt like this is kind of like a nice card if you ended up picking up that if you got signed by like the musician or the singer that sings Let It Go. So that'll be kind of that'll be kind of nice. I feel like if somebody were to do that, they would have a nice little add on to the price for sure.
That would be really interesting because she's like a really famous singer. I mean, I don't really know her outside of Frozen, but I know she's like a famous singer. Another cool thing would be to get like your Enchanted Maui signed by The Rock. I wonder if that would be like a collectible. Like, I wonder if there's any Lorcana fans who care about that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, but good point, good point. I like this one for a specific reason that it doesn't come non-foil. So one of the things that does kind of irk me is that the Cinderella promos that you get at the Lorcana Challenge, you can get them non-foil, but you also get the foils for getting top 32 or whatever, and you could just get the non-foils on the side events, and they're really cheap now. They're only selling for around $150, and I think even post Fort Worth, they're gonna keep coming down as well. So they're probably only gonna start selling for around $100. Speaking of Cinderella, though, I do want to mention the foil mat that you get for side events at the Lorcana Challenges has been selling for consistently around $1,100. So we have a sale for $1,150 right here on the 12th. We have an auction that ended in 4 bids for $1,125 at $1,125, and then we have another auction that ended on the 10th for $1,425. So around $1,200 to $1,500 is, I think, the asking price. But I would say, like, 11 to 12 is probably what I would want to, it'd be cool to get in. Same thing with Rapunzel, by the way. You get the Rapunzel in the non-foil, so, and then you get the foils for topping the event. But the non-foils are selling really cheap now. They're going to be selling for less than $200 for the side event prizes. I mean, they're cool prizes. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to keep coming down in price. I think because of the amount of challenges happening, etc., etc. And then this is a top 16 mat. Zach, look, this is what my mat can sell for. June 10th, it sold for $2,800. What do you think? Big money or what? Should I get rid of it or should I keep my mat?
I told you to keep it only because that is a very cool looking mat, but
Look,
that is a price point
look,
that I can see.
I don't think I've shown you, by the way. I got it framed.
Oh no, you haven't.
Cool, huh?
And I can't wait to see it when the video goes live. That's for sure.
Shout out Saucy
But, yeah.
shout out Saucy in our Discord for getting me the link to the frame.
That is super cool. Shout out to Saucy. We do appreciate all the support in the Discord. If you guys don't know, we have a Discord channel. We actually just have about over 500 goons involved. So, definitely click the link and be willing to join. It's not required for you to say or contribute anything at all. If you just want to be a lurker, we totally understand. We get it. Feel free. Please do. We encourage everyone to kind of be a part of the community. It's growing very, very rapidly. So, shout outs to Saucy for that hookup. And hey, even the Dragonfires are going down too, man. So
Yeah.
it definitely was funny to see people pay like about $160 to almost $200 at Atlanta. I thought like that was. I even told myself I don't want to take one for more than 100, and I don't even know about that. Like, I feel a little weird about that. So I just kept the one I got from my promotional, and I didn't acquire any more. But I'll get one at Fort Worth, which will be another one to have, and that'll be cool. But yeah, this is just something to always consider, guys. There are going to be printing more of these.
Yeah, man, and if you do go to the challenges, you can also win some of these. You get some of these for free. You get them in the side event pricing. And yeah, same things. Like, a lot of people were trying to sell me their Dragonfires for around $150. Even some people asking $200. And obviously, like, I wasn't gonna disrespect them and say no, I want to buy it for $50 because I get the feeling eventually when all the challenges are through, they're gonna be like $50 promo cards. It's still beautiful though, and I'll buy them at $50 all day because in the future I would love to have a playset of these. And I don't know if I want to go to 4 challenges just to get these, but I do want to go to 4 challenges anyway, so I might just acquire a playset anyways. But if you want to win any of these prize cards or even take home the golden Mickey Mouse with you, you got to enter the Disney Lorcana challenges. If you guys just are collectors, then keep a lookout for the future of the game because these are the prize cards we were winning. These are the high caliber, high stakes that we're playing for. So remember, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons if you like this content and you want to see the future of this game grow and grow with us, man. I really do appreciate you guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content. Zach, do you want to say anything before we call it a day?
Yeah, guys, it's always a blast popping on here for every Friday for the market watches, and as always, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons. We'll see you goons next time.